The Board of Education to order at 7 p.m. And I ask that you join me in standing if you're able to say a pledge of allegiance and for a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Official meeting notification. Mr. Stousland.
Yes, public notice of all meetings has been given by communication from the superintendent's office to the public, to those news media who have requested such notices, and to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Northwest Now, Express News, and West Bend Daily News. Public notice has also been posted in schools throughout the district and on the gsdwi.org website, as well as cable TV access channel 96.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Bernie.
Soderberg.
Here.
Loth.
Here.
Borden.
Here.
Myself is here. Reineman.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
And Medved is absent excused.
Thank you. Item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Item 3, citizen comments. We have one individual sign up tonight. Will Mr. Scott Heffley please come forward? Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. I think you can hear me with the mask on, so I'll do that. I missed the last meeting, but I've been looking a little bit more into the budget, which I know everybody's paying attention to. And I guess what I look at is, there's always a reason things happen. There's always a reason budgets end up where they end up, spending's done. There's a reason. You just got to go back and look. That's it. It's all about history. So how do we get here? Well, I did a little poking around. Here's what I found out. Probably more helpful for the newer board members. Most of you were here 5, 6, 7 years ago. And Mr. Erickson did a presentation for the annual meeting in 2014, okay? And in that presentation, I believe it was PowerPoint, I can't remember exactly, he showed a graph that said steadily increasing fund balance and decreasing short-term borrowing. And that went on for about an 8-year period through early 14, maybe it was. So, based on that slide, and the date was 9/22 of 14 annual meeting, we had $10 million fund balance, $4 million short-term borrowing. I don't think those numbers are made up. It's audited. It's out there. It has to be. So, 6 years ago, we had $10 million in fund balance and $4 million in short-term borrowing. So 2020, approved the budget, right? $4.78 million in fund balance, $10 million short-term borrowing. So what happened in 6 years? We flipped it. Or I didn't flip it, but y'all flipped it. So now our short-term borrowing is 2.5 times what it was, and our fund balance is half. So not a challenge to you, but you guys are the ones in charge. Decisions were made in the last 6 years that caused this. I don't know what it was. We added on expenses we didn't expect, whatever. That's how we got to this. That's how we are where we are. I don't know what to do going forward, but that's what happened. In a mere 6 years, including an $84 million referendum, which is wash, right? I would challenge the board to say, I don't know if that's fiscally responsible to go from a $10 million budget to a 4.7 and go from $4 million short-term borrowing to 10. I don't think that's fiscally responsible. Now, I don't want to debate it in a forum, but I'd welcome anyone to contact me because that is my big question of the night. So, I don't know what options you all have. Revenue sources, limited, I'm sure. I don't know. Expenses, I seem to be the guy coming to the meetings bringing it up. You have to look at cutting if you can't balance with revenue. You have to. And you have to cut with non-essential. And you know what? I would not touch teachers, okay? We don't have enough teachers the way it is. We got people filling in, we got FEMA leave, we got quarantine, right? We got all that going on. If the budget's out of whack because of teachers, everybody's going to understand. If it goes above, if you deficit spend to get your teachers covered. We don't have teachers, we don't have a school district. Fair? So there has to be other places to cut. And what I don't want to cut, my third point, essential staff. That's the last place you want to cut. Because you can think no one's happy with cutting some non-essentials, or maybe departments that are over a little fat in them, or whatever you want to call it. Start cutting non-essentials, or essentials, I mean. Then you'll see, then you'll have 30 people showing up at the meeting. Maybe that's good, I don't know. But I'm saying that we got here in 6 years. Because those numbers are, Bob, those numbers are real numbers, right? I just pulled them off the district YouTube site. They're right there. So, figured out, and I know Brittany, working hard like crazy, the 3-year projections, they're not going to show you anything because your spending has been level for 3 years, at least what I see. So maybe you got to look back 5 years or 6 years because the 6-year numbers are right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak tonight? Mr. Barney.
Yeah, just one comment on that. I think a large majority of where the fund balance decrease went is expansion in Amy Bell, expansion at Rockfield, and $1.2 million in new technology at the high school. Those were all board decisions. We made the decision to spend it from our savings rather than go to the public and ask for a referendum on some of those items.
I agree. And that was shared in the past. And we do have a plan in place, and we will meet our targets. So I feel very comfortable that this board will continue to be fiscally responsible. So, anyone else? Okay, moving on to item 4, approval of the November 9, 2020 Board of Education minutes.
Move to approve the November 9th minutes.
Second.
Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 5, reports and information items. Title budget presentation. Mr. Stousen.
Sure, and Rhonda, if you could put up the title presentation. Next slide, please. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is to provide the public as well as the board with an overview of our federal funding title dollars and highlight the budget for the Germantown School District. I'm going to be emphasizing Title I and Title II, but I'll also be talking about Title III and IV as they relate to the Germantown School District. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Title IV is there are 3 main points for Title IV funding, and that is to have an access to a well-rounded education, to improve the conditions for learning, for safe and healthy students, and effective use of technology to improve our academic achievement. This year, the budget is going to be used for resources and technology to support our virtual students. We receive approximately $10,000 for this, and we allocate about $1,000 to our private schools. Rhonda, can you go back to the previous slide? The previous one? No, back, please. Thank you. Title II is used for professional development, and this year our focus is on writing as a district, and therefore we are going to be having a consultant come in for our writing across all content areas. So part of our funding for Title II will be going for that. Additionally, we have speakers, virtual conferences this year that teachers are attending, as well as some book studies, so that money will also be used for that professional development purpose. We receive approximately $54,000 for this, and $5,800 is set aside for private schools. Title III funding is used to support our students who are learning English as a second language or as another language. And because we receive very limited dollars, approximately $3,000, we actually partner with the CISA consortium to deliver services via like a pool of money, if you will, and be able to access dollars for services for our students as well as professional development for our staff. Next slide, please. Next slide. Title I is used to ensure a fair, equal, and significant opportunity for students to achieve the minimum standards. So we also have to watch that we supplement, we use those dollars in addition to services that are provided by local or other federal and state funding, and not supplant, which means that we would use existing local dollars and cover costs that we would normally cover out of local dollars. So we have to make sure that we are supplementing those services and that we are providing in addition to, rather than those services that are provided to other schools. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to explain the difference between a school-wide school and a targeted assistance school. Next slide. The school-wide school allows the school to address educational needs of all children in that school. And that is to make sure that all of our Title teachers can work with all of the students in the classrooms and all of the students in the school. Next slide, please. That is different from our targeted assistance school, which provides those services to students who have been identified in need of academic support. So those Title teachers at a targeted assistance school can only work with those students who have been identified to need academic supports. Next slide, please. So the overview of Title I funding, there are 2 schools that are eligible to receive Title funding this year. MacArthur School, which is the school-wide school, again, we can use those funds to support all students at MacArthur. And then also Kennedy Middle School is a targeted assistance school. So the Title math teacher at Kennedy works with those students who have been identified in need of support in the area of math. So we are using this budget for salaries of our Title teachers at both MacArthur and Kennedy Middle School. Our total allocation is $88,000, and this year we currently don't provide any funding to our private schools because our private schools don't have any students who would otherwise attend MacArthur or Kennedy if they attended our school district. Next slide, please. Here are some just program elements that we need to be mindful of when we receive Title funding. I just want to call your attention to the parent involvement piece of this. So we have a parent involvement component, as well as our obligation to provide for private schools. And that's why I did put in parentheses the monies that are going to private schools. Next slide, please. We also have to do a needs assessment every year. And so for the past few years, parents provide some feedback in terms of services that we're providing. So we have increased our communication to parents in both the email and in school newsletters as they've asked for more information about Title. In years past, we've also had requests for family nights, which we hope to do when it is safe to do so. And we've also had parent requests for observations for their child's intervention lessons, and those are certainly granted upon request. So those are some of the needs assessments that have come out of conversations with parents. Next slide, please. And then finally, I just want to remind everyone that we do have a parent involvement policy, policy 2261.01, and that means that parents have the right to have involvement in our annual meetings. We just held one at MacArthur Elementary School last week, and so we shared that information for Title. And then we also have our Title teacher attending parent-teacher conferences at Kennedy Middle School and providing information that way. Parents also have a right to their school performance reports, which we post on our district website. They have the right to their child's performance on tests, and they also sign a home school compact that is an agreement of what they're going to be partnering with us, what our responsibilities are, and how they will partner as parents in this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for Brenda? Okay. Moving on to item B, enrollment update. Mr. Stossel.
Yes, Mr. Nowak will provide you with the latest enrollment update of our schools.
Thank you. Our enrollment update, I just want to point out, this is a little different this time in that this is the first time we've included in-person and virtual information. It's a different sort of format for us. We've talked about each of those, over the last several months, but we've included them both here. As we look at the in-person, which is our traditional form, we'll note that at our elementary levels, we're in a position where all of our grade levels are in a comfortable place, which is important, obviously, this year. This particular form, as we look at the middle and high school, I just want to make the point out that grade 12 is not on the list. It was cut off as it was sized. We can bring that information in. We know both of those levels, middle and high, have remained steady over the course of the start of the year. The other section that we have is the virtual staffing piece. We've heard a lot over the last several meetings about sizes for those virtual groups. They're included here right now. The one point I would let Superintendent Southland comment on this too. We're finding our way through relative to class sizes in virtual. But they're provided for us to this point, especially with our recent change. We feel comfortable with where they're at.
I'm going to add some in the return to school update. I've got a slide that you'll be able to see, and we'll talk about those numbers.
Okay. Mike, can you go back to the first slide on in-person? The numbers that we have here, example for MacArthur, for kindergarten, 18, 18, and 19 for this school year. Are those true numbers for in-person, or have you not pulled out the virtual kids?
No, those are accurate.
Those are accurate. Okay. So if we would bring in the virtual kids, what would those numbers look like?
Well, they'd be layered in. I'm not looking at a particular section, but a lot of times when that was the case, we would be adding another section.
Got it.
That kind of thing.
That's what I want to know. Okay.
As we went through this in August, that was the math problem we had to do.
Right. Okay, great, thank you. Questions, comments?
Yeah, one question. I guess it'd be page 2 of your background, where you list our enrollment totals.
Yep.
You specifically not included elementary virtual students for this year's enrollment total. I'm wondering why. Like in the table at the bottom of page 2?
Because this is the table that historically keeps our how do I want to put this? Our brick and mortar numbers. So the addition would be all the kids.
So do we have, around 300 virtual elementary kids? So I'm just trying to figure out where we are enrollment-wise compared to last year. And I would use this chart, but I can't because you pulled out the virtuals.
Right. It would be adding those numbers from the other chart with it, I believe. I can verify that for you.
Thank you.
Maybe at the next board meeting, we
Yeah.
can get those numbers, another line added.
Yep.
So total amount, great. Further comments, questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 6, Finance Committee. Mike.
Yes, the Finance Committee met this evening. We approved the November vouchers. Finance Committee agenda item 8A, copier printer and paper consumption analysis and plan. Mr. Grabriziak went over that for us. It turns out our paper usage is down a little bit. I think in general, though, the board and Finance Committee meeting, of course, is looking for more reduction in paper usage with, many of our students having one-to-one computers these days. So it seems to be an area that we could improve on. I don't know, I don't think, Mark, you have anything else really to add to that? And Finance Committee was live streamed, so I think we're good on that, everything that Mark covered. Finance Committee 8B, analysis of Board of Education budget and spending history. It turns out that in most cases it's legal fees, and things that that are the board ends up spending. So in the last few years, the spending has been, well, Brittany covered 2017 through 2018, $261,000. 2018 through 2019 was $169,000. Roughly, 2019 through 2020 school year was $328,000, and this year so far $51,000. So those numbers vary quite a bit depending on what's going on with the school district. Many of the items are closed session items that we can't talk about in a public meeting, but needless to say, moving forward, we will try and limit our legal fees as much as possible. And then item 8C, October variance report. This is something that Brittany is doing. It's a report that we did not have in the past, and she's tracking our expenses and our revenue month to month, and comparing this year to last year. Brittany's given me the yes, so I haven't butchered her the new report she's provided for us. I think everybody's quite happy with it, and that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Questions, comments for Mike? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to new business, item A, discussion of possible action regarding return to school plan. Mr. Stousland.
Rhonda, if you could go 2 slides down.
Is there a way to get the presentation put up on the monitor here?
Yeah, he can, if
as
you
well?
just scroll down, he can do it. Yeah, right there.
That would really help us out. Thank you.
One more.
Perfect.
Yep, so this is, you've seen this the last several board meetings, but it's just to give you, actually go back one, please. Yep, that one. This is the burden rate for the different zip codes. And again, this is the whole community, not the school. And you can see the last 2 weeks as well, and I think the unfortunate thing is that the amounts keep going up. There's not a decline in any area. So just to give you that. The next slide is the burden rates of the school district and some area school districts. And if you remember, we traditionally were in the middle of the pack. Last time, 2 weeks ago, we were at the top, and we fell to number 2 in this case. Again, I think the takeaway message on this is that all these districts are above 1,000 for a burden rate, which is, they've added a new line called critically high. Before it just went to very high. So, and if anyone watches the news at all, you'll know that that's the state we're in right now, especially in Wisconsin. Next slide. The dashboard still is on our website, and we've leveled off a little more than the last several weeks, especially at the high school, has calmed down a little bit. County Line still has had some numbers, but for the most part, we're actually seeing somewhat of a decline in our schools. So that's good. Next slide. Just some updates, and I'm going to have Brenda talk about the first piece on here, but planning for second semester student choice. One thing is we're looking at if parents choose whatever they choose for second semester, that it's a semester-long commitment, just for our own staffing reasons. We can be more consistent with that. And the other thing is that because we didn't have a lot of this, we didn't necessarily plan for it right away, but when our elementary students are quarantined, we didn't have a solid plan, because like the middle school, high school, they can just tune in to the regular class. And Brenda's been working with the continuity of learning committee, and they've come up with some guidelines. So Rhonda, if you just go to the next slide. Yep, and I'll have Ms. O'Brien talk about this.
Sure, we created these earlier in the school year, and it's really sent out to parents. Actually, Tammy Mamiak is the one who sends this out in a document when the student needs to quarantine. So the elementary expectations when students are quarantined is that the teacher will do an initial check-in with the family within 24 hours, and then ongoing check-ins at least twice a week. Then from there, there's asynchronous activities, so students working independently on activities, especially in the focus of reading and writing and math, and then also some activities for specials to keep that continuity going. And then for those parents that would like additional resources, I also include some additional resources for parents to use and to seek out at home should they choose to do so. So this again is sent out with the families when asked to quarantine.
Thank you. And Rhonda, if you could now go back one slide, please. So that's kind of the elementary update. Middle school, I've had some emails from different parents asking kind of when can my kid go back to 5 days in person. And I made the bullet point, but I feel like because we're 5 days in at K through 5, when the timing is right, I would assume the 6th grade would be the next one to add in for 5 days a week. So, and again, we're consistently seeing from area school districts as well as across the state that there seems to be less of a spread at the elementary levels or at the younger age kids, and where the highest spread is in a K-12 still seems to be at the high school. So logic would say you extend to 6th grade, again, when the timing is right. High school, I know you're aware, but we did go to virtual for 1 week, and their numbers, like I said, are much, much better and more manageable after their return on the 19th. And while the kids were home virtual, the teachers that didn't have to be home for COVID reasons were in the buildings teaching from their classrooms. And we did have some special ed students did attend their regular in-person days that they're scheduled for, but it's based on their IEPs. And then we have the data back from the catch-all day that happened on November 4th. There was 320 students that attended in person on that day, and 638 different students attended virtually. So almost 1,000 kids out of the 1350 took advantage of that day in some fashion. And the highest areas, the 4 highest areas, it was music, tech ed, science, and English is where the highest numbers of usage came from. And then the last 2 things, just in general for all of our schools, that we would at some point, probably mid-December, send out a form for parents, the online form, to choose once again for the in-person or virtual learning. And it seems kind of early, however, coming off the Christmas break, we come back on the 4th. We already change at semesters the 21st of January. So we want to get that out to families early. And again, we're going to ask parents to commit for the semester. And then the last thing, at the end of last board meeting, Mrs. Larson asked us to look at a possible teacher workday / little PD day for consideration to put into our schedule. We looked at 3 dates, December 11th, January 25th, February 12th as possible dates. The 11th is questionable just because we're coming back from November, or from the holiday break, Thanksgiving break, and then we have a couple weeks after that we're in our Christmas break. So those were dates to bring back that could fit into our calendar. And then the last slide. Oh, one more, sorry. This is the slide. So this was part of what Mr. Nowak was talking about. And these are our virtual numbers. So one thing you can see, it's every one of our virtual teachers, and you can see in certain places, for example, kindergarten, the first one, we have Amy Bell and County Line together, and there's 21 kids in that class total combined. What we wanted to look at is, at semester, what would happen if we had either like 5 students return to in-person, so we'd lose 5 students out of that class, or if 5 students came in. 5 is arbitrary, but it just gives us something to look at. In the areas where it's highlighted in blue, those are areas that it makes us have to think about what do we do in these scenarios. So if a class, for example, first grade MacArthur and Rock drops to 10 students virtually, I don't know if we can run that class with that same teacher, because that means a number of kids have gone back to the in-person, and we have to staff that as well because numbers are getting too high. Second grade Amy Bell County line, if you look, if we all of a sudden add 5 students that want to go virtual to that class, it puts it at 32, right? It makes us make a decision. A, do we keep it at 32 and nobody gets moved, or do we move those 5 kids, have to go into a different second grade class to keep the numbers there? And we saw it, we were honestly, it was unfortunate, but we were fortunate. It was only one school at the quarter where we had an issue, but just so families know that as kids move in or out of a class, it caused us, because we have a finite number of teaching staff that can make this all work. So we were working with what we have, and there are sometimes consequences because of numbers of kids. And that's why for second semester, if we can get set in January of our numbers, we know we're good for the rest of the year. So that's the staffing. So next slide, please. And then, as always, we'll continue to manage everything creatively. We'll continue to review this every time we have a board meeting. And again, I mentioned the second semester, about mid-December, we'll get the online form out to parents so they can choose in-person or virtual. Any questions you have?
Do you want a motion on those professional development days?
That would be wonderful.
And so the speaker was blocking my view, so I did
So I had
January 25th and February 12th. I make a motion to build into the schedule professional development days, January 25th, 2021, as well as February 12th, 2021.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And we'll get that obviously communicated out to our parents well ahead of time from the district as well as from each of the buildings. So,
Brett, you alluded to when the timing is right for moving to, instead of the AB, for lack of a better word, to in-person for 6th grade. When do you think that would be? Because I think there's appetite at the board that we want to get to do 6th grade, 7th grade, and then 8th grade, all in person.
Honestly, I don't know when is the best time. It doesn't feel right knowing that we're at the highest burden point we've been at.
I understand.
But I also know there's some area districts that have already committed for second semester who are fully virtual right now, committed to at least a hybrid model, or coming back regardless of where the numbers are at this point, because they feel their kids need to be in school. And the one thing the health department keeps telling us is that our kids, that the spread isn't happening in the schools. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not happening through our airways. It's not happening from necessarily kid to kid. It's coming from the outside in. And again, twice a week we're on with the health department, and they keep saying the same thing. So I don't know. I mean, at some point, if that's the direction we want to go, we just have to say we're gonna do it. Now, we could put together a phased plan if that's that we could bring forward at the next.
Yeah, I would love to see that, just so that we can start the conversation and the discussion, and whether or not the board wants to go down that path, we can make that decision at that time. But I think we need to have the plans in place so that depending on where we are from community spread, we could pivot. I'm very concerned with the impact that this is having on learning for our kids and also the mental health aspect. We need to get our kids back in school.
Okay.
Mike?
What's the first day of second semester?
It's January, January 25th, actually.
So not
We have
January
with the day we just added, so it's January, it was like the 22nd or something, now it'll be the 25th.
And we have we have a board meeting in December. Maybe
Correct.
if you could have that ready for discussion.
Yep.
And possible action, depending on where we're at.
Yep.
So, and I do want to acknowledge a couple of staff, a couple of our teachers sent some letters to the board asking that we go virtual, district-wide, because of all the other activity happening in the community, in the state, with the increase in COVID and what other districts are doing. They're flipping over to virtual. We're not going to do that. We're going to maintain the course. We've got a very good program in place. We've got wonderful mitigation in place, and so far, so good. So,
And I would add that, just like with the high school, if we get to a point where things aren't manageable, we can jump to virtual for a week, but then we're back at it. So we have that, and for all of our schools, we have that. We can do it by grade level, we can do it by school. So that's kind of our default as we get into situations that we feel are unmanageable. And again, the high school one I forgot to mention, but that was purely not having enough staff to manage. And I was telling someone, in a typical year, we could have 20 teachers out and we could manage it because we'd get 15, 16 subs and then we'd fill the rest internally. But when you're having 18 teachers out and 2 subs or 3 subs, you just can't do it. So that zero sub pool is impacting not just us but other schools as well. But the work our teachers have done to fill spaces when they've been empty by teachers out has been miraculous. And County Line, for example, today was holding on, and I know Mr. Eisenbach was teaching art today for a couple of periods just to make it work, and that's what our staff is doing. But like I said, if it gets where we can close or go virtual for a few days till we can get back on our feet.
yeah, again, I want to applaud the staff and everyone involved. You continue to be thinking outside the box, being very creative, pivoting when you have to pivot, and you're getting the job done. So hats off to everybody. So, questions, comments? Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike.
Superintendent Southland mentioned about the high school and the problem really being with staff. I just wanted to point out that one of the things we're seeing from an HR perspective that's new, probably in the last week now, whereas earlier in the year we were dealing with teachers on quarantines of their own, 2-week situations, with the sudden rise in other districts that are going virtual. That's led to some of our teachers utilizing leave for care of their own child, which is number 5 in FFCRA. That is a longer leave. That's up to a 12-week leave. That is the one that's concerning to us from a staffing perspective. So it's something that we're watching very closely. But as these other districts are going in that direction, it really is something that's of concern for us.
Thank you for sharing that. Any further comments, questions? Okay, moving on to item B, discussion and action to approve facility use fee waiver requests. Mr. Stossel.
Dorf, speak to that.
Tonight I have 5 groups that are requesting fee waivers or fee reductions. I'm going to go through each group, and like we have in the past, if you want to do a motion on each one, or do you want to do it as a whole?
Yeah, we'll do a motion on each individual one. So.
Okay. The first group I have is the Germantown Youth Futures. This group is requesting a fee waiver for a lock-in social at the middle school. It is for grades 5 through 12. They have done this in the past, and the fee has been waived by the board. It is $156.25. And it is for Friday, April 23rd, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., and they are asking to use the hallways, the cafeteria, the blue gym, and the gold gym at the middle school.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve Youth Futures to use our facilities and waive their fee.
Second.
Discussion. I'll start the discussion off, and this is going to, I guess, segue to all the other discussions that we will have. As you know, it's a very challenging year. We had a lot of curveballs thrown at us from a spend standpoint and from a revenue standpoint. I think we're going down the right path from a budget standpoint. I think we've got our handle on it. We've got a wonderful roadmap to get where we want to get. But, and saying that, we want our community partners to use our facilities. But there's going to be a point in time where we really have to draw a line in the sand and say, we really can't do this, or we can do this as long as you do this for us. So I think that's going to be the conversation we're going to have later tonight on some other groups. But for this particular group, I think it's wonderful. They're a wonderful partner of ours, and I think this is the right thing to do. So, further discussion, comments? Come on forward. Please state your name and welcome.
I'm Becky Whitteman. I'm a school counselor at Kennedy Middle School, and I've been on the Germantown Youth Futures Board for several years now. And thank you for recognizing the partnership that really has been formed between Germantown Youth Futures and the community and the school district. So as a result of that relationship, we have line item budgets of like at least $1,200 to $1,300 per year. We've sponsored things like every 15 minutes, presentations at the middle school as well. So we have dedicated a line item just to making sure we give back to this district every year because of the partnership that we've forged. So thank you for seeing that.
Great. Thank you very much. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
The next request I have is from the Milwaukee Brewers Academy. They are requesting a fee reduction, not a complete waiver, to hold a camp at our high school on the baseball fields. It is for July 2021. And they were approved to use the fields in 2019 at a cost of $2,500. So they are requesting to pay the same $2,500 for this upcoming summer. So they are asking for a weekend, so it's either July 5th through the 9th or July 12th through the 16th. They are asking to use the JV field and the varsity field. The cost of those would be $5,280. If it is a rained out, they are asking to go inside, and then that cost would be the same $5,280. So it's the same dollar amount if they're outside or inside. They're requesting to have a fee reduction to pay $2,500 as they have in the past years.
Thank you. And this is a for-profit entity, correct?
Yes.
For-profit. And they're going to be charging the attendees a fee?
Correct, and I believe they wrote in here that they do provide a scholar, so one student or child would be able to go to the camp for free.
Gotcha. And I believe, looking at the board background, 33% of the attendees are from Germantown?
Correct.
And the rest are from outside of Germantown School District?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Brittany, do you have any thoughts on what it would cost to maintain the field or put the field back in the previous condition after they've used it for an event? I mean, that would be part of our rental fee, would, you know, obviously upkeep on the field and then probably to restore it to a certain condition.
Right.
Do you know if, you know, what that cost might be?
No, I briefly talked to Don Erickson and asked, and he said that upkeep would be the upkeep that we'd have to have anyway. There wouldn't be, from what he understands, additional upkeep for having this event. Initially, they inquired about a fee waiver, and I said that I would take it to the board. And then he said if he had to pay the full amount, he wouldn't have the event. And I said I will go to the board and ask for a fee reduction.
Yeah, you know, please don't take this the wrong way, but this is a for-profit, and quite frankly, I really don't care if they have it here or not.
Okay.
Again, I'm only one board member, but again, from a budget standpoint, I think we're looking for revenue coming in. We're not looking for to give our facilities, to make them available free of charge or even at 50% reduction for-profit organizations. And this is the Brewers organization, a multi-million-dollar organization. And I applaud them for wanting to come to our facilities, our venues, because we've got beautiful facilities. I think that's great that they want to use them. But again, because of where we're at this year, again, not commenting on what happened in the previous years, maybe we could have been more accommodating, but because of where we're at in this point in time, it's very challenging for us to go down, for me as a board member to go down this path. And I'll just open it up to others for comments.
Yeah, I guess where I am on this one, to your point, it's a challenging year. It would probably not cost us $2,500 in any type of repairs to the field. Let's just say it costs $500. We'd still be $2,000 to the positive for hosting the event here, and we'd have maybe a third of the program be Germantown residents, which, you know, based on our priority schedule, they would maybe qualify for some portion of a discount. I would hate to turn the revenue opportunity away, seeing that if we don't offer at least a discount to their $2,500 rate, we may not get the event at all.
I would have to agree with that. I think it would be silly for us to turn away money right now, point blank.
Further comments?
I think I like the idea that 33% of the students are our students and the rest are from elsewhere. And I think that elsewhere is important, that, you know, they see the Germantown facilities and might wish to try and open enroll here or something. So I'm really okay with the event. I would say I do agree with everything you're saying, Bob, but I think it is probably a good deal for the students to attend this, those that choose to.
Yeah, and I'm not adverse to voting, approving this, but I think it's very ironic and somewhat comical that we've got a multi-million-dollar organization in our community, the Milwaukee Brewers organization, asking for a 50% reduction in spend or in the fee. I think that's just, quite frankly, very sad. So.
Why don't we just do a 66% cost, which would be about $3,400 instead of the $3,300. We're at $2,500. So, I mean, 33% of our residents are in this, are kids. So, I mean, I would go towards 66% or 67%, which would be $3,400.
And they're asking right now for the total cost is $5,200, $5,300?
The total, yes, 53 if you round up. 52.
And they want 50% of that.
They're asking to pay $2,500, in which they paid in 2019.
Okay. Would they be willing to pay $3,000 more? I mean, to Mr. Borden's point?
I don't know. I can ask. It's not till July, so we do have some time if you'd like me to bring it back in December.
Yeah, I think we may want to do that, have further conversation, because we're not crunched for time on this one.
Okay.
Are we okay with that? Tabling this right now? Okay. Thank you.
The next group I have is the Germantown Hawks Girls Basketball Club. They are asking for 2 waivers. The first waiver is to hold a tournament, a 2-day tournament. They are asking to use the high school main gym, the field house, and then there's charges for the main gym scoreboard and the field house scoreboards. The cost would be $816.25. They are asking to have this tournament on February 6th and February 7th from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., and that is a weekend. They are a category group 4, so they're paying 25% of the full rate.
And because this would be an outside event, or an event where they're having a tournament, we're going to have security on site?
Yes, and because security would be at the cost of the renter.
Got it. Thank you.
Brittany, do you have approximate cost on HVAC, lighting, custodial costs for either the field house or the main gym or both?
Sure. We have estimated costs of those. So the custodial staff is approximately, this is without benefits, so please add benefits onto it. They get approximately $20 an hour just at their hourly rate for weekend custodians. And then the field house lights and HVAC is about $12.50 per hour. We don't have it if we have to run heat or air conditioning. That would take a little more time. And then, what was the other question? The main gym?
The main gym?
It's about $4 per hour for the lighting and the ventilation system.
So is it accurate that between like lighting and having the HVAC fan running to circulate the air and custodial fees, that's approximately equal to the rate that they already get as a discounted rate?
Depending on the area, yes, it's
Use the field house for an example, just to narrow it down.
For example, yes, the custodial staff, the lighting, and the HVAC is a little more than the rate they're paying.
And if we could even top on adding our COVID costs onto that, correct? So we would need to spray everything down after each night?
Correct.
After everything?
After each night, we'd have to have custodians come in and clean. There's obviously hand sanitizer being used out of the stations. I don't know the costs of those.
Brittany, and thank you for asking all these questions or answering these questions, but I've got a really stupid one. If I want to have a basketball tournament, who sets up the courts? Who sets up all the chairs? Who turns the lights on? Who puts out the panel for the scoreboard? All that stuff. We do that as a district, correct?
Right. Our weekend custodial staff.
Right, and there's costs associated with that.
Correct.
So wouldn't it kind of make sense to at least recoup those costs that we know on every organization coming in, rather than asking for a fee waiver? These are the costs that you have to pay. Would that kind of make sense?
Correct. And I don't know the process the board went through when they set their fees a few years ago. I'm assuming some type of that was done to come up with the reduced rates that some of the, obviously, costs have increased over the years. So that might be why our current cost is more than what our reduced rate is. So, yes.
And I certainly don't want to, we want our facilities to be used by the community, don't get me wrong. We've got beautiful facilities, especially those that are feeder programs for our sport programs here. It's the right thing to do. But should we be paying, as a district, should we be paying for something, and I don't want to be nickel and diming again, but for the hand sanitizers? Why should the district be providing that for a non-district event? Kind of see what I'm going at?
That's why I believe I believe it was set up for the nonprofits or for the community, it says in the board policy, it needs to be 51% of Germantown students or residents. And I believe it was set up that way to at least break even. So they're able to use our facilities, they're able to, have good things for the students at a cost that would not, at a rate that would not have us have the cost.
And again, I think it's wonderful that they're having a tournament because that's going to bring people from the more broader community into our beautiful field house here. And we're going to showcase it, which is going to be great. So,
Is there a charge for these tournaments?
I would assume so, but the Hawks Girls Basketball Club might be here tonight. They are
anybody
not
here
here
from
tonight.
the basketball club? Okay.
My assumption would be yes, but I don't know.
And they need to have an answer right away because this is right around the corner in February, correct?
Correct, this one's early February.
What does the board want to do?
Well, we need a motion to vote.
Yeah, we need a motion. I'll entertain a
Yeah.
motion.
Motion to approve the Hawks basketball for the tournament.
Do I have a second?
I have a question. Are you approving facility use or facility use at a certain rate with your motion?
Well, the request is for a waiver, so I was going to make the motion for this and leave it that way. And so if you vote yes, then you're approving this waiver. If you vote no, then they do not get the waiver.
We could always bring it back for another motion to allow them to use the facility at the identified cost, which is, from what we're hearing tonight, would be our break-even cost.
Or I can just, let me change my motion. I move to approve the use of our facility, but not grant a waiver of their fee.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Just to clarify, you said not grant a waiver?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I heard it.
And those costs would be roughly $2,500.
No, the cost
$816.25.
for the tournament.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. I apologize.
I believe it's 25% of the standard fee.
Right, so that's a 75% discount.
Got it.
I think that's fair.
Yep. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
The Germantown Hawks Girls Basketball Club is also asking for a fee waiver for their practices. That is $2,496.88. They are asking to use the high school main gym, the field house, the elementary gyms, and the middle school gyms throughout the months of November through March of 2021 on various evenings, ranging from start times of 3:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
I'll move to approve the use of our facilities, but not grant the waiver for that usage.
I will second.
Discussion?
Yes.
Mike?
What was that for Hawks girls?
That is for Hawks Girls practices. The first one was for the Hawks Girls tournament, 2-day tournament.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the worksheet. Is this the $2,500 that I referenced earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot of hours.
Yep. No, I agree.
And again, our COVID costs alone.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Next, I have the Germantown Hoops Boys Basketball Club. It's going to be the same two. One will be for tournaments and the other one will be for practices. The first one for tournaments, it is a 4-day tournament. It is for $2,367.50. They're asking to use the high school main gym, the field house, and then also the scoreboard in the main gym and the 4 scoreboards in the field house. They are asking for it on December 19th and December 20th, as well as, that's their first tournament, and their second tournament would be on January 9th and January 10th. Both of them are from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing in October 20 and March
That's the practices.
practices, okay.
It's this next one.
Entertain a motion. Yeah, hi.
Hi, Todd Melcher with the Germantown Junior Rec Club Board. I'm just wanting to express some more stats about that. We are doing 2 tournaments this year because of obviously COVID. All of our fundraising events that we've had in the past are canceled. So this is a way for us to get some more funds for our program. This year we gave the varsity, the whole high school program, almost $15,000 worth of equipment, uniforms, and everything else. So the money we get back to the high school programs and the youth program. And also let you know that 100% of the kids in this program are all from Germantown.
Okay, thank you. And we did see the spreadsheet that you provided for backup. We do appreciate you giving back like that. But again, these are challenging times for us, and you heard the conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I understand.
So, entertain a motion. And now, Brittany, is this for the tournament or is this for the practice?
The one that we're speaking about right now is for the two-day tournaments.
Gotcha. And that cost us how much?
2,000, I don't know how it costs us, the fee would be $2,367.50.
And those are based on past calculations. That's our break-even cost on custodial cleaning, HVAC, lighting, et cetera.
Based on our past calculations at a 25% discount rate,
Gotcha.
correct.
Thank you. And I'm presuming you're going to have concessions open, correct?
Yes, we're hoping to, yes.
Yeah, because I know if we do it at the football games, we can do it, for a basketball tournament. So, and you'll get additional revenue coming in from that, right?
We hope so, yeah. And we'll have limited spectators, obviously, with the rules of using the field house and the gym, so.
Yeah, and you charge a fee, you charge an entry fee?
We don't know yet. We did increase our tournament fee to kind of cover that, to make sure, because we didn't know how many people we could have, if we could have anybody in there, so we're still discussing that.
And these are like select teams that come in, correct?
No, these are all community teams.
I'm sorry?
All community teams.
All community, from our community?
Well, from all different communities in southeastern Wisconsin.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So no AU or anything select teams like that, it's all
right.
Community teams.
Okay, great, thank you.
I move to approve the use of the facilities for the 2 tournaments, but we will not waive the fee.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
The Germantown Hoops Boys Basketball Club is also asking for a waiver for their practices. They are asking to use the main high school gym, the field house, the elementary gyms, and the middle school blue gym and gold gym on a variety of days. They had tryouts in September for their group, and then they are having practices I have from October until March, if I'm correct, and it's on multiple days, and it ranges from times from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And they would use, what is it called, School Dude? The scheduling?
They have,
Okay. And they've used this in the past?
correct.
And have we charged a fee in the past?
No,
We have not.
we've waived the fee in the past.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And again, it's 3,000, I don't know if I said this, it's $3,921.26.
Yep, I see that.
I did, okay.
I move to approve using our facilities for the practice as requested, but not waiving the fee this year.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, and then I have a comment. In something like this, where they're using the facility during the week, I would think that there's not really a lot of extra custodial cost for us. We would have our normal school program during the day, they would come in the evening and use the facility, and our custodian will come through after that event. I'm not saying I'd be willing to waive the entire fee, but I think we could probably calculate a little bit closer what our break-even cost is, and it might be less than this just based on custodial not necessarily being exclusive for their use. That's not something we'd probably be able to come up with tonight.
But then are you going to backtrack and do the same on the girls?
Potentially, right. It's just something I realized when we're looking at the field house cost of $30 an hour. Well, we heard what the lighting and the HVAC cost is. Custodial makes up a big portion of that, and there may not necessarily be as much of the custodial cost for the practices.
Yeah, again, I would say that, this is totally different than our conversation on the Brewers. Brewers is for-profit, this is nonprofit. These are all our local kids. Again, we want them to be in our facilities. But again, the challenge is the budget, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse. It's very challenging for us this year. And to your point, Tom, I hear what you're saying. It's one thing coming in on a weekend tournament and doing a second cleaning to get ready for the upcoming school week on Monday. We wouldn't have to do that here because all we would have to do is just wait till all the activity is done and then do the cleaning, because we're going to do the cleaning anyway. The only cost would be lighting and HVAC. Now, is that $3,900 or $4,000? Should it be $4,000? Should it be less than that? Or should it be nothing?
Right, I don't know that we're going to find that information tonight.
No. So we got a second on the full charge of almost $4,000.
Right.
Do we want to?
And that's a 75% discounted full charge.
I understand, right.
Right, I'm fine with moving forward with this motion, and maybe we can revisit it in the future.
Well, I think we need to, not just for this organization, but also for the girls program too.
Certainly.
Especially when we're drawing from our own community. We could always, if we approve this tonight, it's going to be the $3,900 charge. But I think what we need to do is we need to sharpen our pencil and identify, because of our discussion right now, what can we do to lower that, lessen the burden on the organization? Because we value the organization. We value all the things that you guys are doing for our kids. I think it's wonderful.
We just need to come up with that better number.
Yeah. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
That motion carries. Okay, thank you.
My last group is the Germantown Baseball and Fast Pitch. They are asking for a 2-day tournament. The two-day tournament is on March 20th and March 21st. That's a weekend. They are asking to use the field house and the field house scoreboards. The total charge is $760, and they are asking to use it from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on those 2 days. And again, they are group priority number 4, being charged 25%.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the facility use but not approve the fee waiver.
Second.
Discussion? I've got a question, and maybe Jane, you would know the answer to this, and also my fellow colleagues that have been on the board for a while. This is not the Diamond Club, correct?
No.
Is the Diamond Club still the Diamond Club, or did it transfer over to this organization? Oh,
There you go.
good evening.
Hi, I'm Jim Hansen. I'm the fast pitch coordinator for the Germantown Junior Warhawks. This, to make clear, the Diamond Club is no longer in existence. This is a Germantown Junior Warhawks, so it's basically the same club, but we're the feeder program for the high school softball. And
Could you speak
baseball.
closer to the mic,
Yep.
please?
So we're the Germantown Junior Warhawks. It's not the Diamond Club anymore, but it's the same club essentially. We're the feeder program for the high school fast pitch and baseball. So.
Gotcha. And now, is this the same organization, saying that, is this the same organization that would use our Kennedy Middle School fields over the summertime?
Correct. Yes. This is where.
And the baseball fields?
Yes.
Okay. Coming full circle back to the Diamond Club, at one time, the Diamond Club had an agreement with the district that you would provide some consideration on field improvements, things like that.
Sure.
Do we still have that agreement in place?
That's a really good question, and I can check into that. I know that we've recently purchased a scoreboard for the Kennedy Fields and donated that. So, but I'm still, being new to the position, I'm kind of trying to get up to speed on all these things. So that's a great question. I could try to find that out for you.
Because a lot of things that we do with the lip and stuff and field maintenance and
Sure.
a lot of things that we had a lot of needs at that, turning the clock back.
Yes.
I'm a softball dad. So.
Yep. And currently now, I did talk to Sarah Unerdl, I've talked to Tammy and Drew, the coaches. We're trying to find ways that we can cooperate and work together with our parents and our coaches to try to improve those field conditions. And the club in general is looking at improving our field conditions throughout all the fields, even the village fields. So we're meeting now, and we're trying to take on some of that responsibility and see what we can actually do. It just takes time to develop that plan, so we're working on that.
Gotcha. Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor with the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a motion.
I thought we had a
don't think there
motion.
was a motion.
Oh, you motioned? Who seconded?
Yeah, we had a motion, yeah. So,
But should we be checking out our policy so our organizations that are coming in actually know what's happening? Redo our form, get our
no, I
policy
know, I think this is
going?
a lesson learned for us and also for staff and also our community partners. I think that we could modify the form on, these are the things that you will pay for, and we cannot, relax on or have a variance on. We can't do it. Like security, we would never acquiesce on something like that. And I think heating and ventilation, lighting, setup, there's got to be a setup fee. There's got to be a tear down fee. Someone's got to remove the tables. Someone's got to move the chairs. Someone's got to do the cleaning.
And I think that, there should be an annual review of the fee schedule, because if for some reason it was based off of the costs at that point in time and 25% of the cost at that time was to break even, then obviously, as I stated before, costs adjust. So that might want to be a review we do every year, so the rates are accurate.
Yeah, and I think it's also an opportunity for us, maybe at the building committee level, to look at all the different priorities and, update them if they need to be updated, add some, delete some. But I think it's an opportunity for us to maybe streamline some things. Because if we have a fee of whatever, 25%, maybe we shouldn't even be having those groups come in front of the board.
Right.
Because that's our policy.
Correct.
And that's administration's decision to review the policy, or to follow policy. So, sir, do you have anything else to say?
I just wanted to clarify what was the decision made here tonight, Tom? Just wanted to clarify the
You
motion.
can use the facilities, but we did not offer the free
Fee waiver.
waiver.
And the fee, and how much were the fees for that?
$760.
$760.
Great, okay, thank you so much.
Bob, I'd just like to make a comment. I think we should move forward to the building committee revisiting this, because when we first implemented it, it was very confusing, and then we need to make it a lot cleaner and a lot easier to understand.
Yeah,
And this would be a perfect time, and especially with the way we are right now with sharpening our pencils and looking at everything.
Yep, I agree. I'll reach out to the chair and make sure it's on the agenda for the next committee meeting. Well, Brittany, you can do that, so.
And then I'm assuming it would then go to policy committee.
Correct. Yep. Thank you.
We'll be happy to do that.
Further conversation before we move on. Okay, moving on to item C, discussion and action to approve MAP renewal for 2020-21.
Have Ms. O'Brien speak to the map testing.
So in your board background, you will see the proposed renewal for the 21-22 school year. We will be invoiced for the total of 1,250 licenses in the amount not to exceed $15,625. I know in the past there's been some questions around if we could get a multi-year license for this, and really at this point there is no option to have a multi-year agreement with MAP at a reduced cost. So this would be the cost for the upcoming school year.
Thank you. Entertain a motion?
Move approval of the MAP renewal for 2021 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to item D, discussion and action to approve teacher contracts. Mr. Stausman.
Yep, I'll have Mr. Nowak speak to that.
Thank you. We have one contract to bring forward tonight. It's a limited term contract for 75 days for Megan Brownfield. Will be a second grade teacher at Rockfield Elementary School. Megan is being recommended for this position as a result of an FMLA leave. We ask that you approve at an amount of $17,670 for 75 days.
Thank you. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to item E, discussion and action to approve resignations. Mr. Stausman.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Stephen Williams recently submitted his letter of resignation effective June 30th, 2021. Dr. Williams was hired in August of 2011 to the Germantown School District as an assistant principal at the high school. After serving in a role for 3 years, he transitioned to the role of principal at MacArthur Elementary School, where he is currently in his 7th year. My recommendation would be to approve his resignation.
Thank you.
Move to approve the resignation of Dr. Stephen Williams and thank him for his service to the students and families of the Germantown School District, and approve the posting and filling of the vacancy.
I will second. Nick might get that one.
Thank you. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to item 8, closed session. The Board of Education will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to sections 1985-1E and 1985-1G to discuss expansion of district programs and update on Plunkett Raish Architects, PRA. The board may take action in closed session if necessary or appropriate, or entertain a motion to reconvene into open session to take further action if necessary and appropriate. Entertain a motion.
Move we go into closed session for the reasons stated.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Loth?
Yes.
Borden?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Reineman?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Soderberg?
Yes, we're in closed session, 8:19. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight, and drive home safe.